definitely. The main issues are that we cannot supply enough salmon to the growing market. Over many years, there's been around 8% CAGR on the demand side, but on the supply side, it has been hampered, maybe down to 3 to 4%. So there is a lower supply. And as you mentioned, in the Faroes, we had a strike. This is a 1 year, since the last time was 20 years ago. So it's not very frequent we have these kind of strikes, but that also hampered our production in the second quarter. So that hampered our financial result in this quarter.
Regin, when people look at the fishing industry as well, there are two very, very distinct parts of it. There is, as I mentioned, the fishing industry, and then there is the farmed fish industry as well. How much is the relationship between the two very strained by, let's be brutally honest about it, the vast amount of industrial scale fishing, which is wiping large parts of the global oceans, making them free of fish, which is a horrendous scenario?
You know, in our salmon farming, we only use certified resources. But when we look at the combination of those two, we have to say that over the last 40 years, the supply of seafood to the world has been stable. And that is very much related to the fact that stocks in the world are more or less fully utilized. And then you also have the issue that sometimes they are catched, or the fishing is too high in some stocks, and then the volume will go down. If you don't manage them well, then the volume will go down. But if you look at the last 30 years, farmed fish has increased to around 52% of all seafood which are supplied to the world market. So farmed fish is today the number one, and is increasing steadily, because over the next 20 years we need around 70% more protein to feed the world, and the ocean covers around 71% of the globe. So therefore, we need to find ways to produce more food from the ocean.
Regin, I'll hold my hands up to the viewers. I'm a pescatarian, so I do rely on vast amounts of fish as part of my healthy diet. But the fact of the matter is, when you put into any search engine farmed fish, farmed salmon, it gets a stunningly bad rap as well, whether it be over sustainability, whether it be over the health of the fish themselves, whether it be over the lice, which is a large part of many farmed salmon farms, to put it bluntly as well. Do you think the industry is getting too bad a rap, or actually are some of those key questions absolutely right to be brought up and talked about more openly?
You know, this industry is young. The salmon farming industry started 50 years ago and has, especially over the last 20 years, developed heavily. So, of course, there are mistakes which are being done, and there are procedures that are being improved. For example, in the Faroe Islands, we have not used any antibiotics over the last 20 years. If you go to your local store and search for food, I think it's hard to find any food or any animals which are totally without use of antibiotics. So that's really, really important. We don't use any hormones, no antibiotics. So we generally have a very natural way of farming our fish, with a natural diet. So I think we still have a lot to learn, a lot to improve. And therefore, all of our fish are certified with ASC certification, which is the highest level of certification you can get. But there are still a lot of things that are happening out there in the industry which needs to be improved, and which we have very high focus on. If you look at, for example, the most sustainable companies in the world today, you will find a number of salmon farmers on that list.